You know the feeling. We all do. That slow motion agony of a loading bar just crawling across your screen. Well, today we're going to finally figure out what that hidden bottleneck is that's been slowing you down, and we're going to look at the incredible piece of tech that completely changed the game.
So here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we'll dig into that old slowdown bottleneck. Then we'll meet the hero of our story, the SSD. We're going to see who's actually behind this revolution, get a reality check on the pros and cons, no sugarcoating here, and then we'll wrap it all up with how you can make the right choice for yourself. Sound good? Let's go.
Okay, let's just get right into it. We have all been there. I mean, you're firing up your computer, you're loading a massive game, or maybe you're just trying to open a big project file, and you're just staring at that little bar, practically willing it to move faster with your mind.
But here's the thing. What you're seeing isn't the real problem. It's just a symptom. That loading bar is basically a sign that there's a massive traffic jam happening inside your computer. The real question is, what's causing that jam in the first place?
All right, first up, the slowdown bottleneck. Let's get right to the root of the problem and meet the original weak link in the chain that made our otherwise powerful computers feel, well, painfully slow.
For decades, this was the culprit right here, hard disk drive, or HDD. You got to remember, this is a mechanical device. It's full of spinning metal platters and a tiny little arm that has to physically move back and forth to read and write your data. Think of it like a record player.
You know, the best way to picture it is to think of an HDD as a giant library. All of your data, your games, your photos, your files, they're all stored somewhere on these big spinning disks. When your computer needs something, that little mechanical arm has to literally swing across, find the exact physical spot on that spinning disk, and then read the data. All of that physical movement takes time, a lot of time. It's like sending a librarian to run to the very back of a massive building just to grab one book for you.
But what if you didn't need that librarian at all? Well, that brings us to our next section, the SSD revolution. And trust me, this solution is a total, and I mean total, game changer.
And here you can just see the night and day difference. On the left, you've got the old school HDD with all its mechanical moving parts. But on the right, you have the solid-state drive, or SSD. It is pure electronics. There are zero moving parts, none. And that single fact means data access goes from, wait for it, to instant.
So the most important thing to get is this. An SSD uses something called flash memory. It's basically the same kind of tech that's in your phone or in a USB stick to hold your data. There's no spinning, there's no seeking, there's just pure, raw electronic speed. And hey, bonus, without all those delicate moving pieces, it's way, way more durable.
So let's bring that analogy full circle. If the old hard drive was that slow, massive library, well, the SSD is your own personal bookshelf. Every single file has a precise known address. Your computer doesn't need to go searching for it. It just electronically reaches out and bam, it's there. That's the magic.
So where does this incredible technology even come from? I mean, it doesn't just appear out of thin air, right? It's engineered by some truly brilliant companies who are the real architects of speed.
And this is where you can see the whole ecosystem at play. You have companies like EngineStar, who are the ones actually designing and building the core technology. From the tiny, super powerful memory chips themselves, to the massive infrastructure for data centers, they're the ones building the essential components that make this speed possible, and everything from your laptop to huge cloud applications. And their mission statement, honestly, it says it all. The bright, dependable force, the essential technology powering today's digital world. It sounds like a bold claim, but when you start to realize their tech is in pretty much everything, from our personal devices to critical infrastructure, yeah, it starts to make a whole lot of sense. And what's really cool is that their expertise goes way beyond just the storage part. Yeah, they're leaders in flash storage. That's our super fast SSDs. But they're also leaders in something called DRAM modules. And this is so critical. See, DRAM is your computer's short-term memory. So when your long-term storage, the SSD, and your short-term memory, the DRAM, are both lightning fast, your entire system just flies.
Okay, so as amazing as SSDs are, they aren't magic. And just like any huge leap in technology, there are some trade-offs. So it's time for a quick reality check so you can really get the whole picture.
Let's break it down. Over in the advantages column, it's a home run. Insane speed, amazing durability, they're quiet. But the disadvantages are really important to understand. The two main ones you'll hear about are a higher cost for every gigabyte of space and this thing called a limited write lifespan.
So what on earth does that even mean?
I know, limited lifespan sounds kind of scary, right? Don't worry, let's break it down with a really simple analogy. Okay, imagine one of the tiny memory cells in an SSD is like a Post-it note. It's incredibly fast to write on, super easy to erase. But if you keep writing on and erasing that exact same spot thousands upon thousands of times, eventually the paper just starts to wear out.
Or hey, here's another way to think about it. Each cell is like a tiny rechargeable battery. Writing data is like charging it up, and deleting data is like discharging it. After thousands of those cycles, just like your phone's battery, it slowly loses its ability to hold a full charge. Now, and this is really, really important, for almost every single person, we are talking about a lifespan of many, many years. It is very likely going to outlast the computer it's actually in.
Okay, so now that you're armed with all this info, how do you actually go about picking the right drive for you? Let's move on to our final section, making the right choice. This is your 3-step guide to upgrading.
Look, it really all comes down to 3 key steps. First, check your compatibility. You've got to know if your computer uses the older cable-based SATA connection or the newer M.2 slot that plugs right onto the motherboard for way faster speeds. Second, you have to balance cost and capacity. Figure out your budget and then be honest about how much space you actually need. And third, really consider your usage. A gamer or a video editor has completely different needs than someone who just browses the web. Your personal workflow is key.
And all of this brings us right back to that main question. Now that you've seen the difference between waiting for that slow librarian and having instant access right at your fingertips, you've really got to ask yourself, is your digital life still stuck in the library, or is it finally time to build your own personal bookshelf?